The week of May 11th, 2026 has changed crypto forever. Not only crypto, but global policy is changing in real time, and we're watching this unfold. In this video, we're going to talk about the recent announcements, of course, the Clarity Act getting pushed forward from the Banking Committee, now moved on to the full Senate. Then we're also going to talk about the news stories of Kevin Warsh replacing Jerome Powell. They're also going to touch on what happened out in China between the two presidents of China and the United States. Massive, exciting news coming out of this, guys. Things are heating up. I'm excited to see what the weeks to come bring. Let's go ahead and get to the first story. It's going to come from Ondo Finance on May 14th, 2026. And this does have to do with the Clarity Act and catching up anybody that happened to miss this. But I'm sure by now, if you're in this market and you're watching it in real time, you're fully aware of this. But if you weren't able to catch it, here's the information you need to know about this. We're going to touch on this. Go ahead and get into this with me. Check it out. It says, a landmark moment for tokenization. The Clarity Act has cleared the Senate Banking Committee, moving the U.S. closer to clear framework for digital assets. If signed into law, the Clarity Act would define digital assets in U.S. law, clarify rules of tokenized assets, unlock institutional participation in years of regulatory uncertainty, establish clear SEC and CFTC jurisdiction. The bill now heads to the full Senate with House reconciliation and presidential signature to follow. The U.S. has led global finance for generations. If passed, this bill would help carry leadership into the next evolution of markets, one defined by tokenization and digital assets. So if anybody's been following me for a little bit now, we've been talking about the Clarity Act, and I've been speaking about don't let these news stories FOMO you into the market, which is fear of missing out, or make you FUD out, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is why educating yourself is super important. I'm going to give you another example here before we continue talking about the Clarity Act, then the meeting between President Xi and President Trump, and then the Jerome Powell story with Kevin Warsh. But check it out from CoinMarketCap. I'm going to use XRP as an example just because XRP seems to have that following of individuals that get excited when they hear these news stories. They think it's going to take off. No fault to their own, because a lot of influencers out there are trying to gaslight people thinking that this is going to go to $100, $1,000 just off these headlines alone. And I want you to see what happens here. You can watch the market react. The market is nothing more than human emotions trying to predict what's going on. And let's give you an example here. Check it out, CoinMarketCap. We have XRP at $1.43 currently at the time of this recording. But let me show you the Clarity Act right here on May 14th, 2026. You see it's $1.42 before this announcement, right? After the announcement, people start FOMO in, they get excited, they start pumping, and all the way up to $1.54 is where we saw the spike of XRP come in before we see that drop back again to where we were. Why I'm pointing this out is this is the kind of thing people chase. They will chase that run up. They will chase that spike thinking this is it. I better get it now or never. They start putting all their money in the market thinking this is the time, not realizing this is just a headline. They're just get you excited and taking your money from you, essentially is what's happening here. So it's why educating yourself is extremely important. And we understand that just because we hear headlines does not necessarily mean your favorite project is taken off to these astronomical prices. This is just going to chase some excitement and come back down again. Human emotion reacting. This is what we're seeing here. Now let's move into the next piece of this, which is still the Clarity Act and what to come next of it and what could we expect. So this is going to come from Chad Steinberger, and we're going to talk about what the full Senate is going to need. So check it out here. It says, here's the rundown for what is needed next. It's going to need a 60-40 Senate supermajority vote to pass, and this is the list of potential Ds that will make the difference between success or failure. And after that, head back to the House for a final vote. And you can take a screenshot, or you can just look in my video descriptions. You will find this down there as well. He does give you the breakdown of what to expect in that. But what I want to touch on before we move on to what's going on with President Xi in China is, as we're moving into the Senate vote, we're checking this out. It's very important to understand that anything can happen. It can get stalled. It can get delayed. It can get kicked down the road. Anything can happen. So don't get too excited. But we are expecting to see this by July, I believe it was, mid-July. And we're hoping to see the final draft on the president's desk in August. Now, will that happen? We don't fully know. This is why we have to stay aware and keep our eyes on this and stay educated, because anything can happen at this moment. But once that does get pushed to full Senate vote and it does pass forward, again, expect that kind of spike we just saw when the Clarity Act moved on from this banking committee. We're going to see that same kind of reaction, that same kind of excitement. Now let's move into the piece that we have when it comes to President Trump meeting with President Xi. This is a monumental meeting. This is a huge meeting, guys. History is being made right now. We're seeing that the United States and China are becoming stronger in relations to each other. We have to depend on one another. Our economies depend on one another. And the two presidents met to bring agreements forward. And check out these agreements that came out of this meeting. And also, we're going to talk about who was with President Trump, because that makes a difference, guys. Check it out. Eric Daugherty, May 14th, 2026, posted this on X. Says, Chinese President Xi has agreed to the following wins for President Trump. On Iran, give the U.S. anything Trump needs. 2, buy more soybeans. 3, buy more USA oil. We're going to touch on that here in a second. 4, buy more LNG, which is liquid natural gas. Number 5, buy 200 Boeing jets. This is a massive story. This is a lot of money coming to America's economy. This is exciting to see America and China working together again. Yes, they're still adversaries. Yes, we have all that going on, but we still can work together and we can still help each other's economies out. While Trump was there, he didn't show up just by himself, though, which is very interesting because look who he brought with him. I posted this on YouTube, I believe it was on May 13th of 2026, and I kind of gave people a heads up. So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I try to keep you in the know as I know stuff, not just make videos. I try to post stuff on YouTube is where a lot of people find the information, because I want you to be ahead of these stories so you do not react when you see these headlines. You respond. There's a difference. So check out this post I put out on May 13th. It has to do with who he brought with him to China. Exciting stuff. Check it out here with me. It says the President of the United States is in China with their president as this unfolds. In addition to the President, Trump's China Delegation 2026. As you see here to the left is your executive, the company, and their estimated worth. We have Elon of Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, BlackRock, Blackstone, Boeing, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, MasterCard, Visa, Qualcomm, Micron Technology, Coherent, Illumina, Cargill, GE Aerospace, Cisco, and Meta. And as we add up all these companies together, they have a combined estimated value of 16 plus trillion US dollars. So as we look at that list there, they essentially took the magnificent seven of the Wall Street stock market to China to make deals and negotiations with China. You don't bring in 16 plus trillion dollars worth of firepower, if you will, to go make these negotiations if you're not serious about making some deals here. You don't get people like Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Jensen Huang, Larry Fink, all these major players in our financial system together to go talk to China for no reason. And they also talked about AI, the infrastructure, what's coming. So you're seeing the global economy get on board with AI, crypto, all these things that we're looking forward to. It's happening in real time, guys. And what else came from that? We talked about the oil getting purchased from China. So China is no longer looking to go to Iran for their oil supplies. Now they made a deal with U.S. to start buying oil from the U.S. So check out this post from Eric Daugherty again. And this is going to be on May 14, 2026, as we get this new update here. It says, massive development. President Trump reveals Chinese President Xi plans to buy oil from Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska now that the Strait of Hormuz has a huge problem. And essentially what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz is they're not able to move their oil out anymore because the United States did step in and to interfere with that. And they redirected the oil flow to America. So now Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska are becoming major oil hubs. So we're seeing that partnership with China. What's also important when we talk about the meeting with the Magnificent Seven, we had NVIDIA in that meeting with them. And this is exciting because China's had a ban on chips, microchips, semiconductors. The U.S. has now lifted that ban, and which was going to be an exciting thing in that China is going to buy NVIDIA chips from us. They're no longer going to do that, but they do have the potential to buy that, which is still exciting. But China has decided to build their own chips, their own semiconductors. So we're not going to see that money flow into the United States as we maybe thought we would have, but still a great relationship builder, if you will, a trust builder that we now have that microchip ban lifted. That's exciting, but we are seeing now that China is buying oil from the United States. Huge move, guys. This is exciting times. Our economy is about to get rocked. It's going to take some time to have this effect. It might be, 3 years before we actually fully see the effects of this, but we are starting to see that build up now. And it's no secret as all this is coming together. We have this next story come from Jay Safart, but this comes out on May 12th before the Clarity Act. So keep in mind that before the Clarity Act, this story here I'm about to read you came out as if they kind of knew what was coming up, right? So check it out, James Safart. It has to do with JP Morgan. Read along with me here. It says, JP Morgan filed to launch JP Morgan on-chain liquidity token money market fund. And as you can see here is their JP Morgan on-chain liquid token money market fund. So JP Morgan is moving into the tokenization money market fund as well. We're seeing BlackRock do the same thing. All ahead of the time that this meeting was unfolding, the Clarity Act was getting approved. And lastly, the Fed chair being replaced by Kevin Warsh. So if you don't know, today is what is today? May 15th, 2026. Today is Jerome Powell's last day. Kevin Warsh officially steps in and takes his place. Going forward, we have a new Fed chair as of today. Guys, if you're following these news stories, you are watching history being made in real time. These are the kind of things that you look back in history books and you say, wow, look what was going on then. Just as we did in World War II and beyond that, as we started seeing the new economy unfold. So this is why I always say, one, you need to respond to the market, not react to the market. And you do that by educating yourself. Don't watch the price action. It does nothing for you unless you are a day trader or whatever else you may be doing. But if you're a long-term holder, you don't need to be watching these price actions from day to day. You're not going to go from $1.40 XRP to $100 XRP in just in one day. You're not going to miss that. So don't have to worry about that, guys. Especially if you're new, don't let influencers make you think that's going to be a reality for you. Hopefully you enjoyed something in this video. Hopefully you do see the bigger picture here, guys. New Fed chair, Clarity Act going to Senate, and now new relations and negotiations with China, which will then end the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. Massive stories coming out. July, June is going to be insane. This is going to be a fun summer. Don't get too frustrated about the price action, guys. You're starting to see a lot of pressure being built up behind the scenes. That pressure, when released someday, you will thank yourself for sticking around this market. I promise you guys. All right, that's not financial advice, by the way. That's all I have for you in this video. Hit that like button if you liked something in the video. Consider hitting the subscribe button if you like this kind of content. We bring you just more facts, not hopium. Before I let you guys go, though, take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Become that change you want to see in the world. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'll catch you on the next one.